up a dive. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember right. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, the secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the Untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Paranormal Spectrum here on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby Jones from the Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Society. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we are live in studio today. Welcome to Paisan of Life? Scions of Life? We'll go with that. Lee Warner is also here in the chat. Lee says she's looking forward to today's show. Been out to Zach's property a few times and had some great experiences out there. So it's going to be a great event here, or great show today. So looking forward to it. Awesome. So coming up, if we survive this weekend's snowstorm, 6 to 8 inches in Wisconsin coming up. Not looking forward to that, but looking forward to next weekend because we are headed to our first convention of the year. That's right, guys. We are headed to Obscura Paracon in DeKalb, Illinois. Hopefully they survive the snow as well. Otherwise, we won't have a convention to go to. But we should be down there in just a week away. Not this weekend, but next weekend, March 21st and 22nd in DeKalb, Illinois. Tickets are available at obscuraparacon.com. And then, of course, we head to our next event, Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin.
UFO, UAP, and QHHD, NHI, PSI, and OBE, USO, CE5, and DMT was a spell. Contact modalities. UFO, UAP, and QHHD, NHI, PSI, and OBE, USO, CE5, and DMT was a spell. Contact modalities. CIA, DOD, MIC, WTF, WTF, SSB, MIB, MJ12, FOIA, WTAF, CIA, DOD, MIC, WTF, WTF, SSB, MIB, MJ12, FOIA, WTAF. EMF, EVP, AAT, IP, AARO, ESP, HIC, EEMC squared, RV, and NDE was a spell. Contact modality. EMF, EVP, AAT, IP, AARO, ESP, HIC, EEMC squared, RV, and NDE was a spell. Contact modalities. Explore them all at the second annual Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin, where you get a little bit of woo and a whole lot of woe. Tickets on sale now at contactmodalitiesxpo.com.
There you go. Myself and my guest on today's show, Zach, will be at this event, as well as fellow Untold Radio co-host, Untold Radio host Dean Bertram from the network here will also be at this event. So a chance to meet a lot of great people. So Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin. Then after that, the following weekend, we are going to be at the Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention, Saturday, May 9th in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. We have over 20 speakers and workshops, 40 vendors, and it all kicks off the Friday afternoon before with a kids Bigfoot expedition. Myself and Chris McCurry from the CAPS team, Lauren Smith and Kelly Milner-Halls will be leading that. And for the more adventurous, we have a night Bigfoot expedition. Myself, Chris, and Lauren will be joined by Jay Bachochin, Larry Eisler, Ken Gerhard, and Christina Bloom. And then, guys, we head down to Chicago for the Chicago Paranormal Convention, Saturday, June 13th in Countryside, Illinois. The Brownsville Public Library, June 17th. The Potographs Packerland Paranormal Conference, September 26th in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Rio Community Library in October, as well as Belleville Public Library in October. There we go. So with that being said, if you want all the details on those events, head on over to Wisconsin Caps, caps.com. Click on the public events tab. There you'll find the information and links for all those if you want more information. All right. With that being said, guys, let's head on over to today's guest. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my show. Zach Skrede. He is the visionary behind the CE5 here in Wisconsin, a business dedicated to teaching the CE5 protocol. CE5 stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. CE5 is a process that facilitates human-initiated contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Zach's passion and expertise in the field make him a leading figure in the growing community of individuals seeking to explore and understand the profound implications of these encounters. Zach offers workshops, seminars, and one-on-one sessions to those interested in learning the protocols. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show, Zach Skrede. Zach, welcome back, man.
Hey, Barnaby, thanks for having me again. Good to see you.
My pleasure, man. Always a good time chatting with you. So we got some great events coming up with myself and yourself, both Contact Modalities and the Wisconsin Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention, back-to-back weekends we're going to be at. You got a part in the Contact Modalities Expo, right? You're kind of help running that?
Yes, I am. Doing a lot of the vendor coordination and stuff. I'll have my booth set up there with them. And then Sunday morning of the weekend, I'll be doing a presentation on CE5 and how to do it, and kind of provide some examples and some of the footage that we've got over the last couple of years.
Nice. Very cool. So we have I never read all these people because there's so many people going to be at this event, and people want to hear my guests and not me ramble on about events and stuff that we're going to be at. But who are you most excited for coming to the event?
I mean, we had Chris Bledsoe and his crew out last year, and that was a real big thing and awesome to be part of. But I mean, of course, super thrilled about that again this year. But we have Dr. Diane Hennessy. If you listen to the telepathy tapes about nonverbal autistic people and their telepathic abilities, pretty much, she's one of the leading researchers in that field, and just phenomenon that we're diving into and exploring and discovering. Because I think, Dahlia and Ledoux, was it Bergewans? I forget how to pronounce their last name, but yeah, they'll be there as well. And we had even a few more sign up. So that's kind of one of the subject of telepathies taking one of the main stages. So it's going to be real cool.
Nice. It's definitely a unique event, definitely a unique lineup. It's not the typical paranormal event. It's not the typical, cryptid event and stuff. It's a lot of, like it says, modalities, more of the weird, esoteric, and, stuff that you don't see very often. So it should be a pretty good time.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really, centered around the individual and being able to go have these experiences yourself. So we're trying to load people up with knowledge and skills and, new ideas for them to explore. So I mean, it's kind of the outcome that you'll get if you want to come and enjoy some of the presentations and check out all of our amazing vendors, and the venue is amazing as well. And participate in the sky watches that we'll do at night. It's a lot more engaged, not as much just here it is, look at it. It's here it is, go do it.
Absolutely. And for those that want a little more, normal cryptid and weird stuff, you have myself, and Jay Bachochin is also going to be there. Jay Bachochin is, of course, southern Wisconsin's Bigfoot researcher down there. He's going to be there. Jack Chavez, the guy that runs the Chicago Paranormal Convention, is going to be there. And Sam Moranto, I see down there as well, as the MUFON director for Illinois. So very cool. I know quite a few people on this list. It'll be a good time.
Yep, it is definitely wide variety. Pretty awesome crew though.
Oh, it is. Looks like it. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of new faces, like I said, that a lot of people that I'm not familiar with, haven't had on the show, haven't spoken with, or not even familiar with at all. So I'm looking forward to meeting and hearing from some people as well. So it'll be a good time.
For sure, And I will be debuting. I've got a brand new nudie suit. So, and before everyone's going, oh, I got a nudie suit, it's going to be, presented like that. No, they're just really fancy and embellished and adorned, kind of country western suits from the 50s. So the tailor, Mr. Nudie, that made most of them and started them. So it's all the old country western stars wearing these just crazy bedazzled rhinestone get-ups. Elvis had a bunch of pieces done by him. So real excited to break that out and leave everyone with a smile.
When you come to the stage, we'll play Rhinestone Cowboy.
Or tinfoil cowboy,
There you go, tinfoil cowboy. Wrapped up like a little burrito. There you go. Awesome. Well, for those, we kind of gave an introduction in the beginning here about CE5 and that. But for those of you who have not seen Zach on the show before and aren't familiar with your camp out location, I guess, you want to tell everybody what you got going on in Wisconsin and the little group down there that you got.
Yeah, for sure. We started 3 years ago. This will be the 4th year of meetings. It's kind of gradually increased in numbers. We will average a dozen or so people for a night. And then we'll do one bigger event during the summer, do a camp out or cookout evening, and get some more involved in that. but I'm located about 20, 30 minutes north of Wisconsin Dells. So pretty much in the population center of the state. Nice, clear, dark area, away from all the big city lights and all the traffic, highway noise, and all that. So if for nothing else, it's great just to get out and enjoy that. It's 20 acres wooded. We've got nice trails that people can go through, and there's lots to experience in the trees. So I always highly encourage people to go exploring and get curious about it. But there's nice, good clearing in the woods where we can get together, have a fire when it's cold, host a big circle where we'll do our kind of meditative segment of the process, and put our good intentions out there and see who we can get to show up. And yeah, kind of like Lee said, that there's always something. We always get a reaction of some sort. What people's expectations are and what can actually like come through at this point, might not always meet up, but if you make the time to make the connections and put your honest effort out there, it proves to be a pretty powerful experiences that people are reporting. So
yeah, as I brought up at the beginning, I'll show it again. Lee Warner got to go out there a couple times, and she said that she had some good experiences. We got to go out and film some stuff with you, and also PBS Wisconsin when we were out there last summer, and that's pretty cool. We also brought along all of our like radar and sky watching, like the satellite views, the airplanes, the stars, and all that stuff. So we actually had one anomalous light in the sky that we could not determine last year. So that was really cool. Was absolutely not a satellite, wasn't a plane, wasn't anything that was on any of our trackers, and nothing that we could debunk as for what it was. So really cool stuff that we actually got some stuff come out. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like you said, all those different systems that we like to kind of use, and I don't want to say rely on, but use to sort of weed some of the elements out, make sure it's not a satellite or it's not a plane. But at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff you really can't put labels on. That'll hinder a lot of the experience. But yeah, when you're able to check a few lines off that list and leave it up to just a question at the end, it's okay. It's like there's a lot out there that we don't know about, and it's itching to come here and interact with us in positive ways.
Absolutely. And yeah, Lee reminded me as well, we had the black double helicopters going over. That was cool. They had it wasn't because of what we were doing, but they had some training exercise in southern Wisconsin that just happened to be that weekend, and so we got to see the big double. I can never remember what they're called.
Yeah, they're Chinooks.
Chinooks, yes.
H-47s. Yep.
Yep, we had those going over too, so that was really cool that they were on our tracker and got to watch them fly all over the place. So
yeah, and the property is actually underneath one of the MOAs, the military operating areas that's in the airspace. So that kind of takes a big chunk from about 2,000 feet up to about 32,000 feet. That may be updated now, but of kind of blocked out airspace. So that keeps a lot of the, let's say, riffraff out. But generally speaking, we kind of know which directions most of the planes are flying in and what elevations they're at. And so you can kind of thin that out pretty quick.
That's really nice that you get a steady place that you can do this consistently, that like, yeah, there's always a plane that goes right there about this time of day, or, that's, this flight path or whatever. And you get to narrow that stuff out and helps you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That is awesome. So when we were out there, we noticed you had some other interesting things on the property, and I wanted to ask you about that because you have like a little fairy circle.
Yeah, their little cubby that they like to kind of hang out in. So when I, started this out, my initial focus was just on, like extraterrestrials, the classic spaceships, gray and green alien type of things. But it didn't take too long before I kind of realized I was interacting with a lot more than things from space, as we call it. There's a lot of stuff that are living in the same space that we're occupying, just vibrating at different levels. Just the same way that these radio and TV waves are flowing around through us, there's a zany level of layers that are kind of in the same area that we are. So this is kind of a way to kind of reach in between them and call out, and for these beings to show up in whatever capacity they're able to. Because that's one of the best pieces of footage I feel that we've gotten so far. Was it looked like a meteorite flying overhead, bright, making its own light, going that that fast speed that you see them shoot across the sky, and the camera was just kind of sitting there recording, just point it in a direction and let it run. And there was about 8 of us that night. We all saw it, and oh wow, what was that? Cool, checked the film later, and it actually came from the trees. So when it was leaving, you could see it in front of the outline of the trees, shooting upwards and up and over our heads. And there's a weird kind of spiral design on it too, which a lot of people be, oh, that's a moth. And yeah, I would say it has wings, but it was also making its own light. So again, not putting labels on things, but when we're check down that list, there's not a whole lot left that we have to explain what it was. That modern science and technology is aware of.
That's interesting. So you all saw this thing with your eyes without on the camera, right? So let me ask you this: why do you think that it may have been a moth? If you're seeing this thing, do you think that I mean, if you're looking up at the sky, why would you think that it would be a moth on the camera?
Yeah, and that comes through sort of when the blurred motion. It's flying faster than the frame rate of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So the frames will kind of blur together, and moths come through as it looks like a line going through with a spiral around it. And other winged animals look the same way, and it's just the motion of their wings going through. And so that's what it looks like. But you can find samples of moths and other insects online, and I've even kind of filmed a bunch of myself just so I've got a good baseline to compare with. And they don't really ever fly in straight lines like this, and especially not at rates of speed like that. Because that clearing area is about pretty close to 100 yards across, and it covered that in less than a second. So moths will kind of lazily mingle around and fly in erratic patterns more than straight lines.
No, I agree. Like that was my point. Is like I like that you're trying to debunk it and that's the I appreciate that as well. But like when people send me footage of these weird anomaly things that they catch on their cameras, the first thing I do is say, well, did you see it with your eyes or just with the camera? Because a lot of things get picked up on the camera that are easily debunked that we don't think of. Like dust, spiders are a big one. Spider webs are a big one. And things like that, lens flares, light flares, reflections, stuff like that, all happens with the camera. But when you actually see something with your eyes and then record it, You know what I mean? Like you have that kind of connection with something. It's a lot more compelling, especially with the people that see like orbs, you know, these balls of light and stuff like that. There's so many things that could look like an orb on your camera. But when you see this glowing ball of light moving through the woods, moving through the sky with your own eyes, I mean, that's so much more valid than just trying to pick it up on the camera. So I like that you guys saw it as a streak in the sky and then went back and checked the film, and then you're like, well, it kind of looks like a moth, but why would it look like a moth on film when you saw it wasn't a moth with your eyes? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's not any bioluminescent moths I've been able to find that live in Wisconsin. So, but you know, and that's an important point to, you know, use your discernment and kind of be critical of these experiences. You know, not cynical, but because, like you said, there's a lot that will kind of fool us. I just last night, a perfect example of this, my home security cameras. Mm-hmm. Left for work in the morning and something got into our recycle bin and, you know, scattered a bunch of trash out from it. I was like, God dang it. So I get on the camera to see what it was. And in the backyard, kind of above some of my planters, there was a point of light. It looked like an orb, what we would call. And all of a sudden it was kind of moving like that and doing up and down. And it's looking like it's back in the trees. But then it was like in front of like one of the planting boxes. And I'm looking at my camera, which has the security camera feed on it. And it's right there. And I look out the window at it and you can't see it. It wasn't out there. So, okay. So we start digging into it, you know, to see if we can figure out what this is. You know, shine a flashlight over by there and nothing's there, but, you know, the light is still on the camera. Going back in the history of the camera to see when it showed up, and you know, like the first day, because it was in there for 2 days prior is when it showed up, and it was kind of off to the side doing some of the same motions. Like, okay, well, this is weird, because now it just stays in the center and it just goes kind of vertical. It's not doing much lateral movement. So that kind of tipped me off, like, okay, something's off about this. And, you know, I went out and walked around where it looked like it was and took the flashlight. And this is like 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. Mm-hmm. And so having that kind of curiosity is huge in this field too, because, you know, you see that and you get scared and, oh, what is that? And just stay inside. Well, if it was like a being or something friendly, it's going to book it out of there once it realizes that it's, you know, frightening you or harming you in any way. But yeah, it was still there, wasn't really interacting with me or anything, and it looked really bizarre, you know, but kind of slept on it. And this morning, I was like, you know what, I didn't really go up and look at the camera like closer. And it was a spider web. Mm-hmm. Or the spider had kind of just dropped one long thread down vertical, like just in front of the camera enough where the IR would get just a little glint of light off of it. And so yeah, I was sitting there just kind of doing that. And I mean, if you would just present that to someone, they'd say, wow, that's something. But yeah, it was just a spider web.
That's where I thought the story was going the whole time. So yeah. I've seen it so many times. I mean, like, we've run security cameras and all of our, you know, GoPros and IR cameras and stuff, that I've watched so much video footage of security cameras out in the middle of the woods. You know, when we've done like the hide and adventure stuff and other camping and stuff that we've done for Bigfooting, and we run the security cameras out into the woods, and I've seen all kinds of stuff on those things, and pretty much, you know, yeah, I was gonna say that's probably spiderweb, but have that kind of bouncing light factor to them, and that's you're 100% true. You know, a lot of people see this, and if they don't know what it is, or if they've never seen a spiderweb, or they just got these cameras, for example, you know, they don't know what all this stuff is, and it can freak them out. And I get a lot of footage sent to me of, oh my gosh, what is this? I caught it on my camera. I'm like, nah, it's a spiderweb. Or it's a bug, it's dust, you know, or something like that. That once in a while you get something though and go, I don't know what that is. that one is interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, cool. So speaking of interesting footage, you sent me a couple video clips here. Do you want to talk about them?
Yeah, I think one of them was the one that we were just talking about, and it's kind of like a
Squiggles or jellyfish?
yeah, the squiggles one. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the quote unquote not a moth footage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a look at it.
So if you're into those types of mathematics, you can kind of figure out a general roundabout speed of which it was going. But
You were muted while the clip was going. I'm sorry. So we didn't hear what you said.
oh yeah, sorry, I was going to say that it was. I believe the camera was running about 15 frames a second.
Okay.
And we picked up about 4 frames of it. So to kind of give you an idea about how fast it was going across there.
It looks like what people call the rod.
Yeah.
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 But I definitely see like what you're saying is it looks like a moth. It does look like a bug or whatever these rod things are that people are seeing. It's got that up down motion to it. But again, the nice thing is like you said, you saw it with your eyes before the footage. So I don't know. There's people that try and debunk these rods or put them in their own paranormal category and stuff. And I've got a ton of them on trail cameras and security cameras, like I said. And I don't know. I tend to believe that they're bugs, but it's interesting that it's always, and it could be the frame rate too, is always like about that same length of creature thing, whatever it happens to be. So
Yeah. Yep. I've seen a lot of the same. Yeah, well, people have caught them in the daytime also. I believe so.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's a whole TV show did a whole episode on them, going out and looking for them and whatever these rods were in these caves and stuff. I don't know, but interesting stuff. I don't know. Like I said, I would think it's a bug, but with seeing it with your eyes lends again that whole other aspect of to what is that? So
Yeah.
ah,
And emitting light.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Very unlike, nothing like a lightning bug or anything like that.
Mhm. Those can be very tricky as well. A lot of people see those and they're not always the same color. We've seen like blues, yellows, even some like light reds and stuff as well in lightning bugs. So it depends. I think it depends on the temperature or something, what they're kind of actually the color is. I don't know. There's some environmental factor to what color they can show up as, I think. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was actually another phenomenon we had during, well, it was 2 meetings last summer where they kind of looked like lightning bugs off towards the tree line, but they were all up like much higher than they would normally be, how they normally are below like 4 to 5 feet from the ground. These are all 20, 30 feet up in the trees. So it was just kind of another made you think thing where multiple people were seeing them and couldn't catch any of them or get them to come land on our hands.
I don't know. I don't know how high lightning bugs go, but I know that we've seen them up towards the top of trees or some little light shining, so if they're not lightning bugs, I don't know what they are, because a lot of times you see them like driving like in the ditch line and in front yards and stuff like that, but up in trees. And I suppose if they can land as they go up, they can get as high as they want. But
Okay.
Interesting. All right, we have another little jellyfish footage. What is this one about?
Yeah, and this was another one where the camera was just kind of set up and recording, and we didn't see it first, so it was kind of caught during the footage review after the fact.
And this is on your property as well?
Yes. Yep.
All right, let's take a look.
Yeah, that one was real interesting, where it's kind of pulsing with its movement and the light that it was putting out. It's the moon that you're seeing in the background, that large,
big bright thing, yeah.
Bright, yeah, thing in the middle.
So how far away would you think that is?
It kind of looked like it was further away at first, but then it come across at the end like it was fairly close to the camera. Like I'd say, 30, 40 feet away from it, maybe, when it flew out of frame. Because there was another one that was more faint and a lot harder to kind of see on the video, but it was kind of above the moon and looked further away.
I'm gonna watch that one again. That one's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and again, doesn't really match too much insect activity.
No, the closer you look at it, it kind of looks like fluttering of wings behind it, but it's got that weird motion to it that does, I don't know what that is. That's interesting. Very interesting. And very catchy, very small. That's why I was like, what am I watching here? You see it comes back and I'm up against the screen you're looking at. Very interesting. Very interesting. Awesome.
So, and if we want to just take the reality side of things away for it, if I had to put a label on it, I would say they were, forest creatures of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing fully documented in current, biology or natural science textbooks or anything that we're putting out there. We use the name fairies for things, because these are things that I'm having communications with. That's kind of, I know you'll lose a lot of people when you start talking this, but the quiet part out loud about all this is it's direct one-on-one interactions with these beings that we're getting. So people to open up and seek out. And, a lot of it's done during meditative work, where you're just going out with your intention to make contact with them and just keeping nothing but that love vibration and in the forefront of your efforts. That's really key to getting the positive things to come out for you and get a much higher rate of success on. So start a circle and do our thing, and kind of reaching out to them hey, if any of y'all want to come make a showing tonight, we'd love to see you. Whatever you're able to do, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you feel the group's comfortable with, let's have it. And 9 times out of 10, something will show up.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this: you stay you stay up to date on all the government stuff and the disclosure and that's going on, the congressional hearings and all that?
Yeah, for the most part, without letting it consume life and sanity.
Okay, let me put it this way: the UFO pertaining to the government and stuff, not the government in general, we'll say.
Right.
But have you noticed? I'll say I've noticed that the conversation that is coming forward with disclosure is leaning away from the necessarily nuts and bolts craft and extraterrestrial off-world stuff. And a lot of the conversations with these whistleblowers and the people coming forward is a lot more of the vibrational energy and interdimensional thought to these things. So what is your thought? You kind of touched on this a little bit of the energy and stuff there and intent, but do you think that the beings the entities and stuff that you're communicating with and bringing through, do you think that you're communicating with off-planet beings that are coming here to communicate, or do you think that the stuff that you're getting through is more interdimensional, like you said, like the fairies or other beings that are always here on Earth?
Yeah, I've had a combination of the two, because like I said, initially it was focusing on the off-planet, off-Earth beings, and a lot of them, the nuts and bolts craft that people have been observing for the last 8 or 9 decades have really kind of trailed off in the last 20, 30 years. Abduction stories as well. And I mean, my feelings of it are that human weaponry has advanced to a stage where we're able to disable or shoot down a lot of those old craft that enter our area. So like this pair of Arcturians that I've been working with, they said, yeah, we have craft that we can send there, but it won't be able to fully like phase into Earth 3D reality. That we'll be able to feel some effects of it and maybe see that energetic signature of it. But a lot of those, I'm told that when they come in fully like that, they'll get shot at and chased out pretty quick. It's already pretty widely known that technologies around like 0 point and neutrons, that we have neutron detection satellites and equipment that as soon as that spark hits anywhere on the planet, it just goes up like a flare and the crews are on it. So that that hinders a lot of what we're able to interact with, and then I feel like that's where our interdimensionals kind of pick up the slack for us, and they're able to come in and out a lot easier and quicker, and like we're saying, they're here amongst us already. So to just kind of open the curtains and peek in and say hi and shut them back is really not too much of a big deal for them. And I think, and I imagine you've had some experiences in the Bigfoot Sasquatch pursuit where like they were here, now they're not here. Seen some of like Jay Bachachan's media and files where he had tracks going in the snow and that was it. They're all just mid-stride, they ended. So and I think the science world is starting to really acknowledge this, and they're being more open to it. It's not getting like the public ridicule on the nightly news that we've seen for the last decades as well. People are starting to say, okay, there is a lot more that our current sensors and technology can't see, but we're starting to, discover it.
Let's see, what was I going to say? Lost my whole train of thought. I coughed and it all went away. It's like it just disappeared.
Well, there's been a lot of breakthroughs recently as far as energy or aural photography. Where, you've seen these pictures of like a pine tree branch, and coming off of each of the needles is like a little blue light and ray of light coming off of them. And they observed that under certain conditions they can make the light increase or decrease, and a lot of that activity has to do with like positive, negative reactions to it. So if you're sending it love and all these encouraging things, it would get brighter. But as soon as you turn around and tell it you hated it and it's garbage, it would kind of dim out. And these are scientifically observable occurrences that we're seeing that are coming out. So we're really opening the doors finally.
I've seen that experiment repeated several times with the plants, where you have one that's just a plant, gets watered, whatever. Then you get one that gets yelled at and, told that it's worthless and, all the bad energy put towards it. And then you have the loving one that, gets all the attention, and the one that gets all the attention gets big, strong, and happy, and the other one just kind of grows, and then the one that gets yelled at is, little puny little plant. So that's repeatable science that has happened on this. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I mean it's pivotal in kind of cultivating these relationships and generating this contact and everything. And personally, I just think a lot of humans would really benefit from applying that in their daily lives. Say there really is something to this. You don't have to take on like a toxic positivity, but just maybe don't think everything's so doomy and gloomy, all the time. There's a lot of stuff out there that loves us, and we're here to enjoy it.
I remembered what I was going to say. So, you were talking about, that the stories and stuff of the abductions and all that haven't come out as much, and that's a very interesting point, with a lot more Bigfoot, paranormal, UFO stuff hitting mainstream news. It's becoming more and more acceptable to come forward and talk about these things, share your experiences, have those conversations. Yet, as far as I know of, there isn't more abduction cases coming forward. We're still getting, occasionally and stuff, but I don't see the rise, like the graphable line going up the same way of abductions as, say, like Bigfoot encounters or just UFO sightings in general going way up, and people saying, yes, I saw something, versus people saying I've been abducted. What is your take on that?
And so, I mean, just coming from my experience and my contacts and conversations, that there were agreements in place between governments and off-planet beings for lots of rumors about like genetic programs and like abducting women and impregnating them and taking children full term and getting returned to Earth afterwards. And I know a couple people personally that have had these experiences, and they have off-world hybrid children. Some of them who've been able to meet them or get more information about them, and these are all like pretty connected people. Sane and sober, I would call them also. But I feel that a lot of those old agreements have lapsed. And then I think also when our collective consciousness kind of became more aware of them and how this was violating people's free will and it was very much against their desires, that kind of served to put an end to a lot of it as well.
I can't even imagine, like with the way that the world is right now, arguing about, the transgender bathrooms and, all the gay marriage and all the stuff that we're dealing with now. Can you imagine like you throw alien hybrids into that and just the whole, oh man, the protests and, how dare you let them have whatever. And oh my, this is why aliens don't talk to us, so.
Yeah, it's funny because that was actually a conversation one that I had where I'm asking like, what can I do to bring this out to more people and get people more open and interested into it, and I more or less kind of said like, well, we don't understand how you can expect humans to come want to talk to aliens when they can't even want to talk to someone that doesn't have the same skin tone as them. It's like, yeah, that's a valid point, and I think we're getting closer to it. Like we use the term globalization, but with technology at our fingertips, we can see someone on the other side of the planet and talk to them. Not knowing their language at all, we can get real-time translation, and wow, they're just like us. They have the same family problems. They like to eat. They like to play games. Like we're all the same species. And about high time to start acting like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of that energy is kind of, it's kept a lot of outsiders away. They see our chaos, our violent tendencies, and just nope, it's not time.
we get a lot of that, the whole supposed government thing way back in the, Roswell time and stuff, where they asked the polling company, what would happen if we came out and disclosed this today? And they said it would destroy the world, and it would, have all these negative implications. And they said, well, how do we fix that? And they said slow trickle disclosure and that. And we're seeing that more and more. And now this summer we have Steven Spielberg's movie Disclosure Day coming out. And that's pretty interesting, being the fact that, you have all this stuff going on with the government and, the stuff with recently I talked about on the show here, Obama went online or on that podcast and said aliens are real. Well, that's not really what he meant, but that was his opinion, not a governmental top secret fact. But then there's so much discussion around Trump's rebuttal to that, of saying, well, he's disclosing top secret information. And what do you take of that? Because if he's saying that, whatever, without knowing what Obama actually said, he's saying that this is, top secret stuff that he's disclosed. So what does Trump know that he assumed that Obama was, bringing out? So with all this stuff that are being primed for this monumental, drop of disclosure, where do you think that we stand on all that?
Yeah, and I believe that they, we call them they, are kind of doing the slow trickle thing. And I mean, so much of this is just theatrics, where that kind of back and forth, they had it. You look at the timing of it and what else has been going on. The one subject that could easily unite 80% of this nation overnight, if they just actually showed us the pictures. Yeah. So I felt there was a lot of effort to try to detract away from all of that. And here's a new big shiny ball for you to look at. And I hate to say I kind of expect what's coming through out of all of it, but there is very much a control aspect of the subject, and whoever kind of controls the narrative can, control the outcomes of it. And that slow, methodical, trickled release that's coming out, I believe it's very scripted and very, thoughtfully planned out. I'm just kind of hoping they're going to overplay their hand and kind of get caught red-handed. That's kind of what it's looking like, because it just gets sloppier and sloppier the more this tries to get covered up, especially in the day and age of cell phones. Like, it's becoming increasingly difficult to keep things under wraps like this. I feel it's only a matter of time here real soon before someone big spills the beans and comes forward with something physical.
Do you think if Roswell happened today, do you think that it would have played out differently? As far as, like, do you think that, the government tried to go in there and blockade it off and keep it private, but nowadays with as much, the way that the world is, we'll just leave it at that. Do you think that there would have been more people pushing through and getting, cell phone footage or, like trying to get on site with that and get that out?
Yeah, I would like to think that something would get leaked out pretty easily in that kind of scenario. There's also kind of growing trend of insiders that are becoming disillusioned with the system, and the likelihood of wanting them leaking things out, I think, are getting a lot greater as well. And it's just going to take that one last grain of sand getting onto the pile before it just all comes apart.
I think it's unfortunate, though, that there's so much control in the government and stuff that we don't have. That, let's say, 1,000 people got cell phone footage of this wrecked craft sitting in the middle of a field, right, and posted on Facebook, YouTube. It would take 30 seconds for the government to take all that down. So would we ever actually get actual footage online to go out?
Yeah, and that's kind of tricky to speculate on because another one of the known tactics, we saw it with the drones off the coast, where something happened and someone has something like remotely credible, just throw everything you got out there. Just empty the trash can and fill the skies with garbage, so it's going to get lost in the sauce. So those are kind of some red flags when things come out like that. Okay, there is a lot around that. What triggered it? What was at the beginning? What started it? It's kind of what I'm always interested in tracking down.
It's all kind of hearsay and story in that, but I think from what I've gathered looking into the drone situation was that there was anomalous drones that entered our airspace that we didn't know what was, and in order to cover that up, we launched our own and said, oh look, there's more. Oh, those are just ours.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, just kind of flooded it with, oversaturation of just, oh no, that's nothing. Whereas it did start out something, but to avoid that conversation, we just kind of threw more at it and said, oh no, it's nothing. We don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I think the best recent example with that Boogosphere,
yep,
that was out in South America. That was something that was retrieved by civilians, regular citizens, and footage of it, and some of the technical aspects that were getting found out about it were kind of disseminated fairly quickly, and now it's in the hands of private individuals, and they're allowing other people, and I don't want to say corporations, but other entities to kind of analyze it and give their 2 cents on it, taking x-rays of it. And it's one of the first artifacts I feel that we're getting a true look and analysis at. Everything else gets just dashed away.
I don't know the credibility of it. I haven't looked that into it, but I saw MIT did some scans of it, possibly. So I haven't verified that one, but I did see an article about that. So interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, it's something that's getting a good, honest shake at it. It wasn't just brushed off as being a hoax or something silly.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, because that wasn't in the U.S. That was down in Buga, was it a peninsula or whatever down in South America, Central America, somewhere down there, and so you have this other whole government organization that's doing that instead of the United States.
Yeah. Seems to be the key. Keep it out of their hands.
I recently heard an interview with a guy talking about the Chinese ufology and their research into it. Are you familiar with any of that stuff?
Not a whole lot. I know a lot of their information control is kind of puts ours to shame at points.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're doing stuff on the backside of the moon that nobody seems to know about as well.
Interesting. Yeah.
Told someone about, you heard about the Chinese moon missions, and they're like, what? Like, China doesn't go to the moon. It's like, oh no, they have a bunch of times already. They're actively doing it.
Would not surprise me. Yeah. Yeah, but I guess according to they used to not do anything with the UFOs and stuff, and then there was one of the dynasties came out and said, okay, we're going to research it, and they took it to the scientific community and did all this research and started looking into it, and opened up to anybody can report anything and stuff, kind of wide open. But then people started forming these like religious cults that were like UFO cults and stuff, and they were treating the UFO phenomenon as a higher power than the government. And the government said, yeah, we're not going to allow that. And they slammed the door on it, and that's why we haven't had anything out of China for a while. But I guess it was it was very open for a while there, and I want to say back in like, you know, 50s, 60s, maybe. I don't know time frame as far as like their dynasties and stuff, but the one leader over there wasn't too long ago. It was after like the Roswell stuff and that. So, but yeah, it was pretty interesting. The interview was on that UFO podcast. So
Nice.
Yeah, the guy's name escapes me, but he's a fairly predominant researcher. I'll look it up for you, but
yeah, and I think that's the worldwide efforts are really going to go a long ways for this. Countries that aren't under U.S. or Chinese media control can say a lot more things out openly and freely.
Richard Dolan.
Oh yeah.
He was the guy. He did a whole research on it, so fairly credible source in that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's that UFO podcast on all your podcast platforms, and there's a interview that talks about what does China know about the UFOs and stuff with Richard Dolan. Very interesting conversation. Interesting. Awesome, man. Well, we have coming up here on the end of the show. If anybody has any questions or comments for Zach about your experiences or any CE5 stuff, throw them in the comments. We will get to that before we wrap up. You got another picture down here. Little guy here. What you want to talk about that real quick?
Oh yeah, Thomas, a mantid being that I kind of befriended early on in this. And yeah, and again with the discernment, you kind of, when you jump in, kind of tiptoe into the waters, because he was not entirely upfront, and I wouldn't say fully honest maybe, with his like true being and intentions at the time. So it took some interacting before we kind of came to an agreement and figure out what was going on. But they'd come in larger group of insectoids, basically come out to me in gratitude for some things that I had done with my property in regards to cleaning it up and just efforts in the environmental world. And that's very much what they're here for. They're here for the planet. The planet's going through an ascension right now, kind of ahead of us. So they're in support of that. And, so we had lots of good conversations, and they actually came through huge for me when I was at the Monroe Institute 2 years ago, where they showed up and we did some portal work, and I got a big old chunk of kind of rusty quartz from the area that they left as a gift. And, it's really, really neat, just unreal experience. Someone else in the class was getting messages from them as well, and kind of coordinated together to get this working. And one of my more powerful contacts that are out there.
So let me back up a little bit here on this. So can you kind of describe, like, when you're in contact with these things, is it like through meditation or dreams, or how do they approach you? How do you have contact with them?
Yeah, through meditation primarily. Sober mind, clear, good, positive intentions on it. Kind of think of it the same way where if you were going to go overseas to, meet a friend that you'd been pen pals with for 20 years, kind of treat it that way with in regards to like respect and protocol. And because I would a lot of times just kind of send a shotgun statement out to the ethers, who's ever out there that's wants to communicate or whatever, let's link up and make it happen. But these ones, because of like the environmental aspect of everything, were a little more, finely tuned, detailed to find us and find them. But yeah, and it's a skill, just like any other, shooting basketballs or anything else, where like the first experiences were really minute, and I had to be really paying attention and keen to pick up the hints. But as you kind of build on it and gain some confidence and get some experiences that, some affirmative experiences, then it really starts to take off, and you can do it just standing outside or walking down the street any day. Becomes a lot more informal and casual.
So from what you've gathered with the manted creatures, are they off-world? Like, are they from another planet, or do you think that they're, because with so much environmental, we've heard like a lot of these things, they care about the planet because they live on the planet. They don't want to destroy it. So are these guys more interdimensional living here, or are they from a different planet?
No, exactly that. They're sharing this same planet with us. So think of it the same way as if you got, a rowdy dog that entered your home, and just starts tearing the place apart and ripping and punching holes through walls and chewing light fixtures apart. Like, you're going to do everything you can to get it to knock it off and live in harmony with you. So that's kind of their angle, their approach with it.
I love that analogy. we are rowdy dogs destroying the planet.
Yeah. And just to be clear, they are on the planet's side. So
I
interpret that however you'd like, but they'd like to see us come along with it, but they're not. That's not their primary intention.
Good, very good.
Not that they're gonna come and attack and like do anything like that. The planet's gonna shake us off. Get reset again.
No, I think that's very good. I find we're working on a project with CAPS right now, and an episode coming up that's very along those lines. More the interdimensional beings as far as that, instead of the off-world stuff that's very concerned with what we're doing to the planet. Very interesting. So. Awesome. All right, let's see. Octopus with No Friends said he had a meditation session with an incredible, loving, intelligent, wise insectoid being or spirit one time, and it was after he showed empathy to a honeybee that was suffering.
Yeah, there you go. That's the ticket. They see you acting like that, and they know that they can reach you.
He said he feels the connection when he feels in touch with the yard, nature, and etc.
Beautiful. Yeah, the more you can go walk around outside barefoot, the better off you'll fare in all this.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're coming up on the end of the show here. So I want to thank Zach for coming on. We got a couple of great events coming up. The first one, May 1st through the 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin. Zach, myself, Dean Bertram, a lot of other great people are going to be there, as well as the following weekend. We're all going to be back up here in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin for the Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention. Zach's going to be on a panel talking about all UFOs and CE5 and answering questions and stuff from the audience. So going to be an awesome time there. What else you got coming up? You got a lot of great events on your Facebook group and at your property. Tell us about that stuff.
Yep. First one here is in 2 weeks, the 28th of March. It'll be our first meeting for the year. The Facebook group, Central Wisconsin CE5. That's where I do most of the coordination through. I do email chain for people that aren't on the Facebook as well. So if you're interested, you can look it up on the Facebook, or send me an email.
What
CE5 at proton.me.
One more time.
I also wanted to make sure I gave you the right email address, but Wisconsin CE5 at proton.me. Mike Echo.
Very good, guys. And the Facebook group link is in the show notes for anybody that would like to go check that out. You'd like to be part of the Wisconsin CE5, learn more, talk to Zach, and maybe take some. Do you do online classes as well with CE5? Or
I don't right now, not offering anything like that. It's kind of, it's in the magazine if interest gets up to that level, which I've got a feeling, I mean, we're only going up from here. So people are going to want a lot of answers here real soon as well. So this is a great way to get some context and a better idea what in the world is going on around us, rather than just relying on CNN and Fox. So go out and look up for yourself. That's what I say.
Very cool. Do you have any other public events off your property, like the conventions or anything that we didn't talk about?
I haven't had a good summer schedule set up, but I usually will go out to a lot of smaller local, like holistic health fairs and smaller events like that, and set up a table, do outreach at, because that's, Rock Island isn't till October down in Illinois. And then, I'll be at the contact modalities events and be doing them.
All right, man. Well, I'll ask you, what is your big takeaway? What is your final thought for the episode? What do you want people to know about our otherworldly beings and our friends and stuff? And what should people take away from all this for today?
I'd say just, open up your heart, open your mind, be, just open to more, be curious and be loving. It's really what, most of them get most excited about. If you come at them with this real exuberant joy and curiosity to know and meet, and with loving intention, they're gonna find you right away.
Sounds good, man. Well, I look forward to spending some time with you in the next couple months here, and at the great events that we got coming up. Contact Modalities, Delavan, Wisconsin, and the CapCon in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Both are going to be great events. I'm looking forward to them. So,
yeah, me too. Can't wait to see you there.
Awesome, man. Well, until then, stay safe. Don't bury yourself in snow this weekend, and we got to make it to May 1st. So,
right.
All right, man. You take care. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, Barnaby. You too.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Thank you guys all for tuning in here on the Untold Radio Network. We got a lot of great events coming up. If you want more details on the events that we talked about on today's show, head on over to wisconsincaps.com. Click on the public events tab. There you'll find a list of all the events that I'm going to be at, including Contact Modalities XPO.com and the Wisconsin Caps event as well. Otherwise, the link to Zach's Facebook group for the CE5 Wisconsin is in the show notes. Octopus with No Friends, you did not show up on Monday to my show, but I want to ask you if you'd like to come on the show and talk about your experiences, because you've made some interesting comments in the show notes, not the show notes, in the comments section. So shoot me an email if you'd like to come on the show at wisconsincaps@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook. One way or the other, get in contact if you want to come on the show and chat with me. All right, that's my plug for today. Hopefully we can have some fun conversations with that. But until next week, guys, remember, we are all part of the paranormal spectrum. Take care, be well, and I'll see you next week.
You seem to know something I don't. What's going on?